Welcome to another edition of The Voice of Viet Vegas. This is a special edition due to the election year. Today, we are pleased to have one of the candidates running for the re-election of the Clark County Clerk. Welcome to the set, Miss Lynn Goya. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Lynn Marie Goya, and I am the current Clark County Clerk, and I'm running for re-election. Thank you so much, Antwi and Tuan, for inviting me to speak at Voice of Las Vegas.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome. So if you wanted to say something to the voters regarding your duties in the past, what you have accomplished.
To say that my office has done a lot since I took office. I'm very proud of what we have done. We've won national and local awards for reducing costs and increasing services, to becoming more efficient, and to creating a better customer service experience to people from all over the world who come to the Las Vegas Marriage License Bureau to get married.
Well, one of the things that I read about your biography was that you are actually initiating the co-founding person of the Las Vegas Wedding Chamber of Commerce, and what it have done for the county, and since then, what you have improved in terms of providing the service to the people who needed your service.
When I took office in 2015, I ran the numbers. I have a degree in English and economics, and I've been a freelance journalist for 20 years before I took office. So I'm used to looking at numbers and used to looking at businesses. So I ran the numbers because during the campaign, a number of people in the wedding industry had told me that it was in trouble and that they wanted somebody that would be their voice. So I said if they did elect me, that I would make sure that I spoke on their behalf. So when I ran the numbers, I found that we had a 40% decline in wedding tourism over the previous decade. That's right now we generate about $2.5 billion per year on economic activity through wedding tourism. It employs about 18,000 employees and has hundreds of businesses that depend on wedding tourism for their livelihood. I believe that every elected official should be concerned with economic vitality. So when I found that out, I called together people within the wedding industry and said, let's do something. One of the things that I did is go to the legislature and get a special fund to promote wedding tourism within Clark County. So that generates about $1 million per year. So I reached out to the LVCVA, the State Tourism Department, every local chamber, and numerous businesses. And from those conversations, it became clear that the wedding industry needed to kind of coalesce and work together. Because I think people had seen businesses decline for so long, it was a little bit more cutthroat, not cooperative, but competitive. And so we needed to make sure that the industry itself took control and became more cooperative and worked together to resolve this issue.
Let me understand correctly. So you said $2.5 billion revenues. It is the total revenues that we created because of the tourism, not because of the marriage certificate, though, isn't it? What is portion of
$2.5 billion in economic activity generated by wedding tourism.
Oh,
so
really?
People coming to Clark County to get married, bringing their family and friends. They stay in the hotels, they eat at the restaurants, they go to the shows, they go to the nightclubs, they rent a cabana at the pool. So $2.5 billion in economic activity.
That's the total
throughout
activities,
the county.
right? Exactly.
Correct. Not the revenue to the clerk's office.
Right.
So what do you think is the number that people get married here in Vegas?
Well, we marry about 80,000 couples a year, which is huge compared to most other places.
Absolutely.
We by far outperform any other destination in the world. About 80% of those are actually from out of state, and of that 80%, about 25% are international. So it's a big business. We have a fabulous international brand that we need to maintain and amplify.
Well, no wonder they call it wedding capital of the world.
That's right.
Yes.
And was it because of you did it, or that term has been
That's
prior to?
You know, we have been the wedding capital of the world for probably 70 years.
Right.
So
right.
what we want to do is make sure that the next 70 years we remain the wedding capital of the world. There's a lot of changes that have happened in the industry, you know, since 2000. Millennials are now getting married and they do it in a different way. So if you don't adapt, then you will lose your market share. And that's part of the problem, that we really have not adapted. We're in the process now of, you know, competing.
Right. So part of the effort that you're trying to do, are you targeting the celebrities as well, or just just the average people?
Average people so far.
Right.
We have not really done a lot of targeting for celebrities, but that's something that we would like to do during my next term. I think that definitely is what brought Las Vegas to become a wedding capital of the world, is because we did target celebrities in previous generations, and so we need to do that again. That's an important part of why people come here to get married. It's actually declined. When I looked at the numbers further, we saw that it's been declining since 2000. There was a peak in there in 2004, and nobody can explain the difference. We had 20,000 extra weddings in 2004 than we had the year before. Well, Britney Spears got married in January of that year.
Is that
And
why?
most people believe that caused that 1 year spike.
Right.
So it does
Wow.
matter.
Is it the number or the revenues? Well, you said that we peaked there on 2004. Was it the revenues, or was it the number of marriages?
The number of licenses issued. So
okay.
we actually at that peak issued almost 130,000 licenses. We're about 80,000 now. So that's a big
Wow.
drop. It means we're probably foregoing about $1 billion a year. You know,
Well, that's a
thousands
big number.
of jobs. So we want to make sure that we
Sure.
revive the industry and maintain our brand and market, because you have to market.
Maybe we can invite her to remarry here again.
Well, or other people. Well, we're doing a bunch of really fun things. One thing is that we are just established a partnership with the Las Vegas Knights. And so they're planning on doing one wedding promotion per month at the
Oh.
Vegas Knights games. And I think that's a great partnership for us. It's a great partnership for them. And, you know, it's the kind of thing that will get attention and just make it exciting to come to Las Vegas to get married again. We have a lot of other things going on as well, but that was one of the things that I think is really fun.
Wow, that
Sure.
sounds so exciting.
Right.
It is, yeah.
Please stay tuned. We will be right back. Thank you.
Welcome back to The Voice of Vic Vegas. So Lynn, if you get elected this year, again for this term, do you have any plans in terms of technologies to improve efficiencies so that way, you know, in the same time save taxpayers money?
Well, when I was elected the first term, we actually took over the marriage certificate process from the county recorder. We're the only county in the state that is doing that right now. And during that process, we were able to save about $350,000 per year for the taxpayer. So that's about 10% of our budget. So that was a really important thing that we did. Actually, I'd like to say that, you know, I am cheap with my money, and I'm
how you
cheap
save.
with your money as well. So I was really proud of that. We did win some national awards for those efforts. We were able to save some printing and ink and paper, so that helps the environment, as well as improve services for customers and the efficiencies that depend on this industry. So by streamlining services and saving money, I think that's an important thing that we are able to do. But there's still more that needs to be done. Right now, we actually are. We did develop an online marriage license application that is 100% online now, unless our system goes down. And that means that customers from all over the world can fill out the marriage license application in the comfort of their home. So from China or Vietnam or London or Australia, you can fill out the information and you make sure that you have everything. So by the time you come to the Marriage License Bureau, all you have to do is show us your ID and we print that, we verify and print out the information. And so that saves a lot of time and also makes it more accurate, which is also saves time because amendments are one of the time-consuming things that the Marriage License Bureau does, because obviously people want to know if their birthday, they want the right birth date. They
Right.
want their name spelled correctly.
Right.
They want the date of their wedding
Right.
correct. And so there's a huge amount of pressure on our staff to be almost perfect. We are
One, yeah.
99% accurate, but that 1% needs to be fixed, and so we will do that if you find an error in anything that you have said or we have said.
So on that note, is there any country that do not recognize the marriage license here in Nevada?
No.
So every countries in the world that
Right now, yeah,
recognizing
there
it.
was a Hague Convention in the 1950s that said that contracts, including marriage licenses, would be recognized worldwide. And so as far as I know, there is no country that does not recognize. And we recognize their weddings as well. So if you get married in Vietnam,
Anywhere.
we would recognize your wedding. And if you get married here, then Vietnam would recognize our weddings.
So what is the average number per day that people get married here in Vegas?
Well,
Good
it's
question.
it's about 200 a day.
Wow.
But it goes lower during, the summer, really.
Okay.
The summer is our slow season
Oh,
because
really?
it's so hot.
Oh, I see.
And then this month it's been great. We've been having them closer to 300, 350 a day.
Per day. Wow.
Per day. So
So
which
but-
is really fun. I mean, we love it when we're busy. We did on 8/8/18,
Oh, I
we
bet.
issued 615 marriage
Wow.
licenses.
Wow. Especially
So
all those numbers, special date, right?
people love that.
Yeah.
And we love it when it's busy. Actually, my staff just sparkles when it's really busy. They love it.
So going back to the Las Vegas Wedding Chamber of Commerce, so how do they contact the organizations, and do they provide any services if they needed help?
Yes, so weddingchamber.vegas
Uh-huh.
is the website. And we're looking for additional businesses that benefit from wedding tourism or want to increase their wedding tourism business. So you would become a member. It's $200 a year, which is very inexpensive. One of the things that the clerk's office has been able to do is we actually put the Wedding Chamber logo on a number of places within our site, including the marriage license application, so that couples that are looking, that don't know what they're doing yet, can look at that directory and find goods and services that relate to their wedding, make it easier for them. So my goal and our goal has been to make sure that we can have legitimate businesses that do provide wedding services and make it easy for couples around the world to have a trusted source of that information.
So do they looking for the venues to the clients or for the clients? So they just contact the
Then they would
the bureau.
contact they would access it through the Marriage License Bureau, but you can get it online as well. You don't have to fill out your application.
Yeah, one other thing is, people keep talking about it, but I'm not sure that it is true or not. That was the, what they call it, is the drive-through weddings. Is it true?
Yeah, we have a couple places that do that. That was an innovation, I think, 20 or 30 years ago. It made it very exciting for couples. Some people still want to do that. We
Really?
still do a number of Las Vegas Elvis weddings, which people still think it's fun. Especially in vow renewals, you'll see those things more when people come not to get married, but to
Renew their
recommit
vow,
themselves. Because they want to
right.
have the Elvis wedding experience, but
Sure.
they're already married, so it's not as many first weddings as vow renewals. One of the things that we did on the behest of the wedding industry during the last legislative session was get the clerk's office to have the ability to issue vow renewal forms. So that it's not a legal document, it's not a public record, it's not kept forever, but that lets us now be able to give an
keepsake, yeah.
official keepsake with the
Right.
Clark County stamp on it. And that should be good to go probably January 1st.
All right, wonderful. Taking a nod to another issue is that your office is also overlook the notary public. Why are you, I think that was a few years ago that you changed it. Even when you renew the notary public, you have to attending the class. Why do you have to go through those?
We actually don't authorize notary publics. That's the Secretary of State's office. We collect the notary public bond. But I was at the legislature when they were doing that. There's a lot of notary publics that were not filling out their forms properly or doing the information properly, and so they felt that they needed training every time they renewed. So that was a legislative decision, not a clerk's decision.
So you are not, actually you are not issuing it, the Secretary of State is issuing
Correct.
it.
We-
But you
we-
oversee the
the notary-
applications, right?
No.
Oh,
All we do is we accept that we verify the notary bond. So you would need to come to the clerk's office
Oh, okay.
to do your notary bond
Okay.
portion of it,
Right,
after
right.
you've gotten your notary license from the Secretary of
But
State's.
as far as running the classes,
We don't do that either,
Okay,
no.
that is the Secretary of State
yeah.
office. Okay,
We just
I got you.
accept the notary bonds.
Stay tuned. We come back. There is many more information that we can get from Ms. Goya. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. I have a couple questions here regarding the government transparency. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that?
I would love to. The clerk's office oversees the public records for all the county boards and commissions. So typically when the state legislature decides something needs to be done, the money goes back down to the county, or the responsibility goes down to the county. So the county has a lot of decisions on basic goods and services that the community depends on, such as UMC and obviously the police departments and Metro and foster care and all those kinds of things. And so those decisions at the county level are very important. My job is to make sure that you are able to access those decisions. So these are permanent public records going back to 1909. One of the things that has been a big priority for me is to make sure that those records are even more transparent. So I was a freelance journalist for 20 years, and I've gone to the government to look up things. So I know how important it is to be able to find government records. So last year we began a digitizing effort to go back to 1909 to digitize the whole archive, which was
That's a
really
big
fun
project.
historically as well as contemporaneously. We are creating a Google-like search engine so that from the comfort of your home you will be able to search anything when we're done and find as many records as are available. And then it's good for the press as well, because a lot of times people want us to look up things. It takes us a long time,
Research,
therefore
yeah.
there's a cost to it. And this way the press will be able to access the records just as easily as we are, and print whatever they want with no cost at all.
So is it the project is already complete, or
Oh,
it's
no.
still going on?
No, we've digitized about 1 million records so far, and we're about a quarter of the way done. We hope to have it done by the end of next year, 2019. So if things keep going and we don't get sidetracked with something else, we should be able to get it done by the end of 2019. And the current records that are already created digitally, you can access already, but the older archives would be part of that digitization record. What I found is that in previous clerks, when they tried to go to some other kind of medium from the paper medium, a lot of times it was done either carelessly or they hired a
Right.
vendor.
Right,
So
right.
you would see the paper half off on the image and you couldn't read it. So I want to make sure that this is absolutely perfect. We're triple checking every single document. And that's why it's taking so long, because we have actually boxes and boxes that have been digitized but haven't been verified. So our staff, when it's not busy, that's part of their job, is to go through and make sure that every image is readable, and if it's not, then they kick it back to be redone.
Wow.
That is, the technology is providing you the tool to do it, though, because nowadays, if it's not readable, I mean, it's probably
Right.
rejected, by the machine. So it's probably make the job easier for you.
Some of the older records are still quite difficult to read. We have things on onion skin. We have the founding of Boulder City, the document where it was created on old onion skin. That doesn't
Wow.
digitize that well. The image isn't that good. And so, some of those are challenging but fun, obviously. We have images from court cases or from licensing that are really kind of fun. So the county is an interesting place. I love it. I love the history, and I'm really excited to bring this to fruition where everyone will have greater access to what we have done and what our history is. So one of the things that I have done is also reach out to the state the National State Museum that's down here in Southern Nevada. And they got permission from the archives, the state archives, to become the Southern Nevada State Archivist. And with that, then we will be able to give any kind of important or documents of historical merit. Once it's no longer the permanent public record, but the historical record, we'll be able to give that to the State Museum and the UNLV archives, so that, again, the public has even greater access to these really important, critical documents about our county.
So Lynn, can you tell us a little bit about the domestic violence prevention fund that you been
Yes.
doing?
So, and this has happened since before I came into office, but the clerk's office gives $25 of every marriage license to a state fund to domestic violence prevention. And so that's a great thing for me, because that's been a big issue for myself for way before I became clerk. So we are the largest funding of domestic violence prevention fund in the state. And actually, of the $77 that you charge for a marriage license, the clerk's office only gets $21. So all the rest goes to other places, and probably the most important to me is the domestic violence prevention fund, because it's a critical issue for Las Vegas, and we want to make sure that it has resources it needs.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. One last question that I have is that sometimes I see that it's overdone or stepping, the county and the cities. Do you see any of those?
In our department?
Yes.
No. We have actually had a great relationship with all 5 cities throughout the county and the unincorporated. So, I'm a county clerk over every person who lives in Clark County, and I love working with everyone and I believe synergy is best, the best way to govern and the best way to get things done. And so it's been a great privilege and honor to get to know all of the mayors and all of the city councils and the other government officials and non-government officials that are doing important work throughout the county.
So one last question is kind of out of the topic a little bit. So you do marriage certificate. What about divorce?
Divorce is not my job, so I only get the fun part.
Okay, that's nice.
All right. That's pretty good. So I guess that it's come to the end of it, and I'd like you to maybe say a few words why people need to re-elect you to your current positions again one more time.
Thank you. Well, I'm Lynn Marie Goya. I am the current Clark County Clerk, and I'm running for re-election, and I would appreciate your vote. We have done a lot the first term to streamline services, to create greater government transparency, and to improve the wedding tourism industry. But we've just gotten started. There's a lot more that I would like to get done. I would like to see the wedding tourism really start to grow again, and I need your vote to get that done.
Thank you so much for taking time to watch the program. As you see, this is an elections year, and every vote counts. So please come out and vote. Thank you so much for watching.